everybody. Today I have Amy. How do you say your last name? Conn?
On like Connecticut.
And she wrote a fascinating book called Revealing Grace. And I'm so glad because I told her she's a cancer survivor, breast cancer. And I get about 12 books every 2 weeks. And I said, "What's the name of your book?" Because we were supposed to meet today. I
Mhm.
had to tear my place. I found the group that it was with finally. And I started looking at it. What a great story. What a great story.
Thanks so much.
And
Thanks so
so
much.
you were young when this happened,
I was 43. It was 20 years ago, 21 years ago.
and you have two little kids.
Uh-huh. I had a
Young.
5 and a 7.
And you relate with me because my kids were young.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you feel about this. You know, when I was walking down that path and the guide said to me, "What are you doing? You know, there's no such thing as death." And I felt very embarrassed about even begging for my life.
Yeah.
And then when I handed it over and said, "Okay, fair enough. If I go, I go. If I stay, I stay." But in that moment, something happened to me,
Mhm.
something profound. Now, you have a husband that's a great person that could have taken care of your kids. Me, not so.
Yes. Yes. hmm
My
And
kids.
you said you not so much, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, their husband was a alcoholic and
hmm
he just wouldn't have taken good care of them.
And I hear that concern. Um, so the one thing the reason why I wrote you and sent you this um was because when you would tell those stories about the surrendering and the earth on your fingers and your hands,
Yeah, I could smell
for,
the earth.
right? For me, it was climbing mountains. So I would climb the mountains, and it's very close. I am in Salt Lake City, and it's like in 30 minutes I can be on top of a mountain, like from my house to the mountain. And it's not driving, it's hiking. Like I'm sweating it out, I'm breathing it out, you
Wow.
know, and I'm just like, didn't matter what stage I was in, like the baldness or the hair. It didn't matter. I just needed to get to the top. My dog would be with me. And I at first I would go to the top of the mountain and I would negotiate. I was like, okay, so if you let me live,
Yeah,
you know, I promise to, I was in this
a
negotiating
lot of
thing.
people do that. Yeah.
Uh, right. And then, like you, I got a wind and it was like blowing me over almost. And then I turned around and put my back to the wind. And then I turned back around and the wind stopped. And I was like, oh,
Did you feel
and
like something happened in that moment?
I, except I wasn't sure if I had recognized it. So much is happening at that particular time in my life. You know, I knew there was something that happened, but I did not feel the panic. That the panic went away.
Good.
And I was also working with a healer. She's no longer with us. She's a massage therapist named Carolyn Paquette. And she was amazing. She was magical and one of those I always said, Carolyn, I need you to turn on the superpowers today, and she'd be like, she would do it. But when I would go into her massage room, she would have like a mist system. And I was like, how'd you do that in your house? And how do you like protect the mist from like the carpet and the walls and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Well, she said it was just, she had just manifested it. It wasn't an actual watery mist, but she said, you're going from cancer to no longer cancer. And I went through that mist. It was a mist through a doorway and then onto the table. And at that point, I'm just kind of like wide eyed and like, I'm going to do whatever she says, like, so
Yeah.
I had a lot of people working with me to help calm the nerves, communicate what's happening on the inside to my outside. And then she would say to me, she would say, let's get into your tribe. And she would put one hand underneath my belly and one on top, and she'd wiggle me around. And she would say, okay, I just want you to know your tribe is saying, you are so brave. You are so brave. And I giggled at that moment because I was like, well, what else am I supposed to be? I don't know. I mean, I've got two kids to raise. I want to be a mom. I
Yeah.
just, I want to raise these kids.
Yeah.
And so then I felt like I just was going through the motions of what was required of me by my
God
doctors.
bless you physically. I mean, my God, you could climb out. I could barely climb up a step stool to get the cookies on the top shelf. I've done a lot then. But so the Revealing Grace, you start, okay, this is her second edition of the same book, right?
Correct. Hmm.
So did someone tell you you're going to write the book or you said, I'm not going to write this?
So I was an active yoga practitioner. And during this time, there were three people going through cancer at the same studio I was going through. We used to call ourselves the Bandana Girls. I was in the back. And we used to always have a wall or a post next to us in case we fainted because it was too hot. And we were like,
Oh, yeah.
what wall do you get? Okay, we would all choose our walls. So we would
Right.
hold on in case we keeled over. And and I had a woman come up to me and she goes, I want like 10 pages by Tuesday. I want you to document what's going on in your world. 10 pages by Tuesday. And I said, okay.
Wow.
And I just started writing. And really, I mean, I wrote for 5 years. I would get up at 4:45 in the morning. My kids, I would have to get them up like at 6:30. And I would just write, get it out there. I knew if I was crying at the end of that writing session that was a good one. Um, Needed lots of grammatical error, I mean editing help, you know how that is.
Yeah, and that I still didn't get it completed, but I didn't want to write the book. They told me I was going to write the book, and
Yeah.
I did it
Yeah.
reluctantly. But you did I haven't been able to read cover to cover, but this is a really good job. I
Oh,
love
thank you
your
so much.
journey, you know. And let me
There's
tell you, you and I both agreed that we couldn't handle being around other cancer people. And I do suggest when you first are going through cancer, my HMO wanted me to go to a group where they all talked about their cancer experience. And a lot of those women died in that group. And they were all bald headed and they were young mothers, younger than me. I was in my mid 50s. And
Mhm,
it was just too hard for me. So I just didn't go. And you
mhm.
said you didn't go.
Well, I didn't go to the support groups for sure.
Yeah, not the support groups.
And because the type of support that I needed to there were places I needed to feel like me, like the old me. And even though I was changing rapidly, I needed to feel like me. And so that place was like the yoga studio, places that already had a community. And even though I had the bandana girls in the back of the classroom that I hung out with, if I had a question about a treatment or during radiation, your back gets sunburned. And I was like,
I
why is
never
your
got
back
radiation. Yeah.
why is your back sunburned? And she was like, it's blistered. And I said, why? And she goes, because the radiation goes through you, bounces off at the table, and then reflects back on. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, that's good information to know. She goes, here's how to treat it, and she would tell me those remedies. And I was like, well, I, that was the kind of support I was getting. I also had a great, my kids were at a co-op school and the parents were very wonderful. And again, that desire to like still be me. I was a school teacher and a tutor. I always say I had two kids, but I really had 22 kids because I had 20 clients.
Right.
And and I didn't want them to feel awkward. They spent like 2 times a week with me, and I was like, oh, I go to the ball tutor, I didn't want them to feel bad. And I also,
How long have you been doing yoga?
so I started in college, so I would say in the 80s. I was also doing jazzercise and aerobics, but I was also doing
Yeah.
yoga because
Girl, you got stand. I can't do yoga because I don't look good in the pants. I look terrible. But I remember doing yoga in college. I took a yoga class and I
yeah.
lost like 2 inches from my waist.
Oh, you know, right now I run a business called Yoga for Wellness, and it's essentially taking you where you're at, wherever you're at. Where are you? I could sit in a chair. Okay, great. Let's start with sitting in a chair.
That's
And
great.
then we'll breathe and we'll figure out where else you want to go next. And that's how I take a lot of my clients.
That's right. That's great. I love the wind that hit you because that happened to me too.
Yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah,
And
but
Blood Show, the guy that talks to UFOs, he
mhm.
talks about that wind. He's the only famous person I ever heard talk about the wind.
Oh,
And he calls it the Mother Mary wind, but I have no idea. I don't know if it was Mother Mary or Jesus or anything. All I know is that man started talking to me when
yeah.
I begged for my life, and he said, "What are you doing? You know there's
Yeah.
no such thing as death."
Well, I don't have the audience going on yet, and I'm anticipating that because I've been working with Debbie and Kevin in their classes and and like Sterling says, it's a muscle you got to exercise.
Yes.
So you have to practice it. But something my daughter, who was 5 when I got diagnosed, she and I have always had the feeling. She's very sensitive. And I think that's why she works with horses now, is because
Ooh, I
she
love
can.
horses.
Horses are high healers, and she works in Minnesota at a place where the girls are awarded to the state. Their ages 12 to 21, and they're trauma informed girls. And they go through therapy in school, and then when they get each assigned a project horse, and that's where my daughter comes in to help work with each girl with the horse as the portal, the horse as the
Yeah.
energy worker. And
The other
it's
thing, you
awesome.
didn't say it, you told me earlier before we came on, but you work with the deaf.
Yes, I did. As a special ed teacher, I had deaf and hard of hearing. That's how I met my husband. He was taking sign language. And I'm like, assigning rock climber, that's good.
Are you still rock climbing?
uh, we're going to take a trip to the Dolomites next summer. We'll find
Oh my goodness. God bless you. That's brave. I've never had any desire to climb no rocks.
out. I started rock climbing because I was afraid of heights. And I was like, I need to get over this. And if I wasn't afraid of heights, I'd never have met him. Oh, and one of the things I wanted to tell you is he's a firefighter, and your dad is one,
Yes.
and was one, and Michael works with Firefighter Cancer Support Network. He's the state director of Utah.
Wow.
And so I write a blog on my website, and every week I write something that kind of leads up to the book launch, which is in October. But people can buy the book on the website, amyconnyoga.com.
Yeah, and
And
what's your website? AmyConnYoga.com?
right, yeah, AMYCONNYOGA.com. And that's the best place to buy the book is on the website. And then I can
Okay.
write in it and I will mail it off to you.
So,
Uh,
how's your husband doing with those fires in Utah right now?
every day is something. And he's belongs to, he's hired by the largest company in the state. And they are, you know, everything everything is coordinated in a way that they go here and then often they get separated and divide up, and it's anyway.
Well, when I was young, now this was in the 1950s, 60s. But
Mhm.
I don't know if your husband does this, but we were trained anything to do with fire. My dad told us always touch the door if you're
Yes.
feeling, how to remove a body. And we were just little kids, but there's certain ways you can move a body that
Mhm.
is very easy to do. It's surprising.
Is it when you roll up next to them and then you roll them back onto your body?
Well,
Or
no,
you remember?
it was something, well, coming underneath the arms,
Yeah, yeah.
and he made us kids move him, and we were able to do it.
Excellent.
He was 6'2". Now, the roll thing, I did that as a nurse,
Oh, yeah.
but he was
Yes.
very conscious of fire safety. And I
Right.
know sometimes he came home and he would just go in his room
Yeah.
because, like, one Christmas morning, a little boy right down the street from the
Yeah.
firehouse got a new bike. And all he did was fall to the side, but he hit his head right here with the sidewalk. And he said it was like a watermelon popping,
Oh,
instantly killed. But
yeah.
not killed. He's there with, but the parents
Right.
there and they
Right.
bought him the bike. They must have felt
Right.
horrible.
One of the things that Michael has done that is so wonderful, in addition to being this cancer director, is he does peer support group. He coordinates peer support. So when things like that happen, they can
They
gather.
come
They
together.
they have a specific thing protocol that they need to follow. And they'll even ask people to come in from out of state and to help train you at the other
Oh,
firefighters. But I think by living together, they help each other. They have a better, yes, PTSD does exist in firefighters, but by living together, they are stronger because of that.
well,
They're
my
able
dad
to
had his
process
first
more.
heart attack at 42. A lot of firemen get heart attacks at a young age,
Right,
and they all
right.
sued and they won.
Yeah, yeah. He does say the reason why the fire pension is so big is because sometimes firefighters don't live long
They
enough.
don't live long. They're around all that toxic stuff, but
And that is what his mission is right now. That's his emphasis. The blog I just wrote is called Why the Biggest Killer of Firefighters is Not Fire, It's Cancer. And it's because of what is burning now. And I did this simulation. I found this YouTube. It's a simulation of of a living room, two living rooms, one with wood and cotton, and one with all the plastics and more of a modern living room. And it is completely flashed over in 3.5 minutes, where the
whoa.
other one takes longer and is a slower burn. But it's because of the oils and the things that are in the wood and the materials. Yes.
And
And even though
ceiling.
they have all the equipment on all of that, there's areas that seep in.
I,
The toxins still seep in under the sleeves and all of this. So I wrote all about that. Like, so then they have a protocol that they need to follow in order to get that off their bodies. And what do you do with your hands? The soot, you don't do that. You don't wipe your face. You have to clean yourself off. So
how
cancers,
long has he been a fireman?
he is approaching 30 years, 2 more years. We talk about this a lot because
And he
I'm
gets to
retired now.
retire. He gets
And
to
then I'm like,
retire.
yeah, yeah.
And
I married a younger man.
and how old was he then when he became a fireman?
He and I both kind of started our careers in our 30s. We were a little bit tardy in our,
Wow.
yeah, like I was 30 when I signed my first contract and he was 32. So he's
My
six.
dad graduated from high school. Nowadays, you got to have some sort of college education, but dad graduated from high school and started with Castro Valley Fire Department and then hopped over to Hayward and worked there until he broke his back in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
he loved it. In
yeah.
those days, he was a captain and he only made $400 a month.
Oh my gosh.
Most
Was it
firefighters
a volunteer? Was it a volunteer?
Oh, no, he was on city pension. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Most of the firemen worked two jobs.
Yes, I always say that. I just finished teaching yoga at burn camp. Every year I do burn camp. And it's It is the most heartwarming, fun camp to go to. And there's a lot of firefighters who are volunteering as counselors there. And I'm always giving them a hard time. Always, because I'm like, I know what you like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and all of them do. All of them have a second job, you know,
Yeah.
um, and it's often Michael's second job was helping me raise kids. So like I would go to be a school teacher and he would be home with the kids. And then we do this. Like sometimes we just hand the baby off at the front door. You
Yeah.
go, your shift,
Yeah.
and yeah. So anyway, so
It's
he
just fascinating. Oh, your story is really good. I'm looking forward to sitting down cover to cover. Is it on
thank you.
audio at all?
I'm working on that. Here's my problem. There's even a chapter of firefighters. I would recommend you reading that one first. It's kind of in the middle-ish. Um, every time I read, and I might have to hire someone to read, but every time I read, I cry. So it's still so fresh. It's still there. Isn't that funny that
Isn't that
all this
something?
time and so, and maybe it's the memories that are coming up, like the firefighter one, it blends in 9/11, it blends in diagnosis, it blends in a time where we finished recovery and we flew the whole, like I had this one client who paid her whole tuition to me in 1 year. I mean, one day. She like, here's my year tuition. It was a chunk of change. And I looked at my 5-year-old daughter. I said, do you want to go to Australia? And she's like, sure, mom. Because she's 5. And we had friends that were there. And I'm like, I think we should celebrate this year, like she would call it the bald year. I think we should celebrate this bald year by going away, like being away from everything. And we would go visit our friends. And it ended up, no lie, I'm wondering if I can remember the number, but I was in the Blue Mountains and I was on a walk because that's how I meditate and clear my head. And I was on a walk and I found this fire station in the middle of the woods in the Blue Mountains. And it was and I went in, knocked on. I'm like, my husband's a firefighter. I was wondering, like, could I bring him back? And you guys trade shirts, and that would be awesome. And he's like, sure, come on in. Would you like a cup of coffee? And I don't know if you've ever been in a fire station, but they all have recliners and they all kind of sit like
Oh
wagons
yeah.
in a round.
Oh yeah.
you know,
But
so
remember,
they're all
my
like,
dad was in a firehouse that the bedroom was on the second floor, and
oh,
they
the
went down the
pole.
hole.
The pole's always kind of a perk. So anyway, the same thing in Australia. I think they had a pole and they definitely had the recliners and they're sitting in the recliners, invite me over for a cup of coffee. And they talked about 9/11. So this is pre-diagnosis for me. And I was listening to them and they were like, yeah, well then as I'm listening to them, all of them had an Australian accent except for one. It was American. And he's like, I'm from New York. He says, the reason why I'm here is because New York sent a lot of their firefighters after 9/11 to any place they wanted to go.
Really?
And so I chose Australia right after 9/11. This is the gentleman talking to me. And then I decided to come back. So every year I come back just for a little bit. I take my vacation and I come back and I just work in their station. And he says, we like this station because the number of it, and I'm going to get it wrong, but I have it right in the book, is like 361. The station is like 361. And it was the number of firefighters that died on 9/11 is the
Wow.
same number of that fire station. So they would stand next to the number on the truck and have their pictures taken. And it was just a part of their healing process is to be away and to be a part of this same but different group of people. And
But the
yeah,
toxicity in the air in New York, even post 9/11, must have been terrible.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We went there, my kids and I and my husband, and they had not yet built the new building. There's still a hole in the ground. And
Did you visit the fire station at all?
And we went to the fire station, and you could just tell they're sending the new guy down to go talk to the people ringing the bell and the young guy. And when he came down, he probably does it 20 times a day. Yes, we're the station that lost everybody. Yes, we're the station that has a smashed fire truck. And we don't trade shirts at this one because we're needing to create a boundary space. But I can direct you to a fire station that would. And so that's pretty much what they do.
Define trade shirts. What does that mean?
So, like when you go to Boston, here, I'll trade you a Salt Lake City firefighter shirt for a Boston firefighter shirt.
And they do
So
that.
that's the thing. Michael's got 9,412. And I'm like, enough with the blue shirt.
Well, listen, I always, because the fire department, boy, we used to have the best picnics. We used to have that when we were kids, that's where we were able to have actual soda.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my parents wouldn't let us have soda, but they'd fix Kool-Aid, which was just as sweet as can be.
Yeah.
And the picnics you could have, hamburgers, steaks, whatever.
Mhm.
And I just remember having the best time with the
Yeah.
fire department. And they used to give us free, you could get into any movie theater. Dad showed his badge, any movie theater,
Yeah.
drive in, walk in, Hayward Plunge, all kinds
Yeah.
of festivities. They don't do that anymore, though.
No, and they
They
should.
really can't. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I look at Michael's first paychecks and you talked about your dad's, I was like, how did we survive? And it's like you just do. You
You
just
just do.
figure it
Of
out. You just figure
course,
it out.
their mortgage was $50 a month. So,
Yeah, we
you
we didn't
know,
know.
I got
Go ahead.
invited to work. I was working with my boyfriend's mother. She worked at a little catering place that would hold small wedding receptions, nothing big. And they were inviting me to work their Christmas party, and it was the Hayward Police Department.
Mhm.
And I didn't think nothing of it. I was planning on doing it. When I told my dad, he said, nope. I said, what? He said, nope, I don't want you working with the Hayward Police. I guess he heard rumor.
Yeah. Michael talks about how all his uncles are police officers, and one of them even rode a horse, like in the Detroit, you know, horsemanship, the
Yeah.
that program. And when they found out he became a firefighter, they just kind of looked away.
I know that thing going on.
I know.
Oh, that the police and the firefighters in 9/11 had a little bit of thing going
Mhm.
on.
Mhm.
But I tell you, I have all respect for firefighters.
Yeah. The community, again, it doesn't, and that's why I think I needed to release the book, was about it doesn't, the community that he has, that camaraderie in the fire department, the camaraderie I had in the yoga studio, that we're creating now in a survivor wellness, that support house that provides free services for if you're going through treatment, if you're post treatment. If there's just something about having a complete stranger know exactly what you're going through,
Yeah.
and being able to say, I can help you with that part. Let me help you with that part.
Yeah. Well, the fire department, when dad broke his back in a motorcycle accident
Mhm.
and he became a paraplegic, they showed up at mom and dad's house and built a ramp for a wheelchair.
Oh,
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 put a new door in so he could use the restroom. I
right.
mean, life-saving stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's how they roll.
That's how they roll. Really, and you
Yeah, but look at
can't
this.
ask otherwise.
This wonderful book you did. And
Thank
it
you.
feels like, okay, tell me how I'm going to feel when I finish it. Is it uplifting?
So, it's real. That's the thing. I couldn't, who was it? So you can't write what you want people to hear. You need to write authentically. You need to write, you can't fake authenticity. So I wrote whatever I felt like in that rocking chair. And there's, one chapter, I think I wrote about it, where Michael and I went to a hotel room. We laid out 42 chapters, paper copies all over the hotel floor. I hired a babysitter for the kids. And we need to get rid of that. It was good to write. I had to write it, but it's not supposed to be in the book. And then we just kind of eliminated that. But the things that stayed in were the things that I held more of a message. It's not really about my cancer experience. It's really about what I learned, but then going forward. Medicine has changed since I've had chemo. The treatments that are available now for women in breast cancer and men were not available at the time that I was getting treatment.
What year was that?
2000, it was diagnosed on my daughter's birthday, 2000, 2005, 2005.
Okay, so I went through it in 2008. So it's
And
changed.
you had chemo and radiation or just chemo?
No, just can't. I refused radiation. They wanted me to have radiation.
Yeah. And you had a double mastectomy.
I had a double mass. How about you?
I had a lumpectomy. I always see my headlights are a little askew.
No,
But
I told them, I said, wait a second, wait a second. They said, we'll remove the left breast, but
yeah,
don't worry, we'll give you a prosthetic. That looks a fake breast. That looks like the right breast. I said, wait a second, wait a second. You're going to
yeah.
cut this one off and give me a fake one that hangs over my belly like this one? I don't think so. I had to fight for them to remove both, but I sleep at night.
Yeah. No, I mean, you need to do absolutely the thing that we advocated. I did create a group for that lasted about 15 years, a yoga group that was free to come and practice yoga on Thursday nights. And it was men and women. And didn't matter what your cancer was. I had leukemia, testicular. Didn't matter what it was. You come in, we're going to practice. We're going to be a group for each other. And that group is tight, but really there was one woman there. I mean, she's probably had breast cancer 3 times, but
Poor
she
baby.
often talks about how she had 3 mastectomies. And I was like, tell me. And she said she had one, they removed that. Then she had, a prosthetic, implants. And then she got it again. She's like, off with you all. It's like, I
Oh
just
my
want the box.
God.
Yeah. And then,
It
and she,
appeared underneath the prosthetic or on the side of
yeah,
it.
yeah,
She had an
every
aggressive one.
every body is different. My mom is a breast cancer survivor. Her mom also had cancer, and my mom is still with us today. She is turning 90 on Wednesday, and
Wow.
we're flying to the Central Coast to go celebrate her. And she had a mastectomy and then a lumpectomy, and those 2 surgeries so different because again, how times have changed and how
Oh yeah.
the,
When I first was in nursing, they were still removing all the muscle and stuff. These poor
yeah,
women, they could bear,
yeah,
they couldn't raise their arms. It was
no,
terrible.
no, I have to say, because I have had surgery here for the lymph. I mean, I had potential lymphedema, which my mom does struggle with because they did remove quite a bit. But I, through yoga and massage and that magical healer, Carolyn, the only thing left is like my finger is a little swollen. I call it my Harry Potter, finger. It's like just a reminder. And yoga really helped. It really helped in the range of motion because yeah, you're like this. I can't lift my arm because
Oh
of the
yeah. Yeah.
sutures or the scar tissue. I still get massages to this day to break down that scar tissue, and it's not comfortable.
No, I
Scar
can
tissue
imagine.
grows, and you have to break it apart. Self-care is continuous, even 20 years later. It is something that, oh, but to answer your question, um, yeah, there is a woman that I talk about who's no longer with us, but what she contributed in the world is amazing. She was a beam of light, and we used to say we can't begin our yoga class until Terry Lynn gets here because and then when she come in, it was like a surge of energy, and we were all ready to begin.
That's
And and I think the whole message of the book is I want to raise your quality of life. I want to, whatever the length is, if you're alive right here, right now, then let's see if we could make that what you want it to be, make it better, raise it.
Right. And to go
And
slow and to be present because there's a lot of people who aren't mountain climbers or
no,
yo,
no, no, no. I don't require that of
yeah.
you.
You tell me go out and start climbing, I'll be like, oh hell no.
No, 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 no. My mom, she came to one of my classes. And again, let's see, I'm like in my 40s, she's in her 60s. And she looks at me straight. You know, she's like, Aim, I haven't been on the ground in 25 years.
Oh, I know. It's hard as you get older. It's
And I'm
hard.
like, okay, mom, you don't need to be on the ground. Here's a chair, and we're going to do chair yoga, and that's just fine. You know, yeah. But
Well, thank you.
you are welcome. Thank you so much.
And Amy, AMYCONN. Oh no, it's AM. Is it I or Y?
It's AMYCONNYOGA, amyconyoga.com. That will
Join
like
her
that
site,
will that
website.
will take me to that will take you to the website, and then everything's in place for it to order a book. And also the weekly blogs and the newsletters. I mean, they're just little bits of inspiration that I write, and it's about
And
all
there's
the
your
things,
purpose. There's your purpose of even getting this disease is to
right?
help others find their way.
Absolutely. And
My whole
Reiki,
life changed after cancer. That it took me in a totally different direction.
absolutely. I mean, it's one of the things I'm talking about now is like there's this one woman that I was talking with just the other night, and she says, Amy, it's not like I want to go back to the old normal. It's definitely a new normal, but there's things in my old life I don't want anymore. And I'm
And
like, I'm creating a new life. And then American Cancer Society talks about that also, like you can get like a post traumatic stress reaction response to cancer. And if it's left untreated, if you're not addressing it, then it can turn into PTSD, which is a longer, harder treatment process. And there are specific things that they do ask you to do, but you do have a new body. You have chemo brain, you have, you have a new body. I was instantly menopausal, like a light switch, like, oh, well, now everything hurts in my body and
I
I'm
have the
hot.
chemo brain for sure. My attention span is shorter.
Mm-hmm.
What was your
Yeah,
name? What was your name again?
Amy. Yes. I once had a call. So cell phones were kind of newish at the time when I got diagnosed. And I remember calling him from the grocery store. And I said, honey, I'm so sorry, but where do they keep the milk?
Yeah, I mean, it was worse. It's better. But
Yeah.
I would show up for appointments and they said, you don't have an appointment today. I thought there was something wrong with them.
Yeah. It's
So
real.
thank you.
Documented. It's real.
Thank you. Let me know how the book
I
goes.
will. I will.
Thank you
I
guys for
absolutely will.
watching.
And my sister lives in Benicia, and I always try to send her your way to your workshops, your all your things that you're doing. She's attended several of them. You and I were actually in Bryce together when when the
When I
UFOs
did
and that, right?
Debbie and
Yeah,
yeah.
and Kevin
I
and
only
Kim.
spoke for an hour. They told me a couple hours, but that other woman, the sister-in-law or something,
Yeah, yeah. She
she
was
she had more to say. So I said, "Oh,
okay.
but what a
Yeah,
beautiful place, huh?"
it was great. It was very cold. It was very cold, but it was a lovely place to be. And yeah, but thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. And thank you. I had to put you off for an hour, but I'm glad that we got to finally meet.
It's worth it.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
You take care.
Okay,
Bye,
bye-bye.
everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Goodness.